with the last deployment having happened in June 2019. It's undeniable that human beings are to blame for climate change, and in the past 100,000 years, Earth has been the warmest it's ever been since. That was around 6,500 years ago when the Earth essentially had the same temperature it has right now. These are the startling revelations that are made in a landmark UN report warning when it comes on climate change and how essentially we are now facing a code red for humanity. To discuss this further, we are joined now by Business Unity South Africa's Energy and Environment Policy Manager, Jarredine Morris. Jarredine, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. I stumbled a little bit over that intro because it really is quite remarkable what we heard from that report, to the idea that now, those strong words, we face a code red for humanity. What is it then that we need to be doing?
So, I mean, it is absolutely startling, but I think it's quite well known that we're warming the world at a terrible rate. And what the report really highlights for us is the pace and scale of the impacts of this environmental change and what it means to our environments and to our people and our infrastructure and economies. So what we need to be doing, and we've been saying this, and we've recently issued a report in partnership with other business initiatives to say we have to act. We need to reduce our emissions as quickly as possible, our greenhouse gas emissions, and all of us do. Globally, this must happen. But we need to build our resilience to events like this, like these wildfires, to increased rainfall, changes in rainfall patterns, to droughts, to wildfires, and we need the support to build up the resilience to these impacts. Because what the IPCC report shows is that even in a best case scenario, we will see these kind of impacts happening more and more frequently. And the African region in particular is very vulnerable to these changes.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there's the global responsibility, and then there's the national responsibility, and we can only control so much. From a South African point of view, are we legislating enough? We've had a little bit of legislation around carbon emissions. Is there more that we can do?
So we are in the process, I think, and when I say we as a country, we are finalizing our climate change bill, which is a critical piece of legislation that will more fully and holistically deal with what we need to be doing to address climate change. We also have the Presidential Climate Change Commission that's specifically tasked with unpacking what we need to do to ensure that our transition as it happens is just, which is critically important for South Africa because of our national circumstances, our unemployment levels, our inequality, and poverty levels. We cannot make a fast or a paradigm shift in this way without making sure that we take everyone with us as we make this change. So I think we're getting there. I think we're progressively getting to a point where we have the right enabling legislative framework in place to properly deal with these matters.
Yeah. When we talk a little bit about what it is that we need to be preparing ourselves for, considering that we see really weather patterns changing around us, businesses surely should be considering protecting themselves from erratic weather.
Yes, absolutely. So, down to that level, yes, businesses absolutely must. And a lot of our members do consider these impacts and particularly what weather events will mean on operations to ensure that they can continue to produce, to ensure that their supply chains can continue to operate. So yes, it's not simply a national imperative. It's something that needs to be done across the board, individual companies, municipalities, provincial governments. What they call the climate change adaptation is really, that goes down to the lowest possible level that needs to be managed and needs to include the communities impacted, and again, also from a company perspective, not just the workers, but the communities where those companies operate, also need to be involved in this process of building resilience to these changes.
Yeah, well, we really do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That is Business Unity South Africa's Energy and Environment Policy Manager, Jarredine Morris. Let's take a look now at what's happening in the world of business.